Everybody, what's going on? Hopefully, y'all can hear me well. So, in this video, we will be talking about girl boss feminism painted black. I have left a couple of links in the description box. Actually, let's do the intros. Um, I guess when the first person comes in, hopefully, whenever you come in, you'll leave a comment, and that will let me know that I can actually be heard. Hopefully. Um, but until then, I guess I'll just be freestyling. Um, yeah, so, you know, a lot of girl boss feminism is using excuses to be a complete and total monster and just play it off as, men get to do it too. A lot of what women do, black women in particular do, when they're being total and complete miserable people, when they're being mean, when they're being nasty, is couching it as, well, nobody would say anything if it was a man. And this is like what I guess they think they can cloak themselves in couching negative and bad behavior as no one would say anything if it was a man, or why do men get to do this and we can't as women, right? That's number one. Also, obviously, part of girl boss feminism is always couching something as doing whatever you're doing for the betterment of women in general, and specifically for black women, it's doing it for black women specifically, right? These people are very selfish, they're very self-centered, right? And they still couch what they're doing as some type of move for black women, right? You get this often in the swirler, divester, black women in luxury, you know, spaces. This is for the betterment of black women. I just want to see black women win. This is how black girl feminism is couching much of what it's doing right now, right? It's doing these things for the betterment of black women. So once again, check out the links in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe. Definitely hit the super chat. Um, and so you see a lot of this going on right now. Black girl feminism, black girl, um, or girl boss painted black, as I have in the title, is really some appealing to the power structure by essentially doing something that has already failed for white women. So you're already late to the game anyway, right? This is that Sheryl Sandberg lean in stuff, right? It's not the overall structure that's the problem. It's that you're not participating in it the way you should. And when you count when black women get a hold of that, what ends up happening is they play down racism because obviously black men are using racism as an excuse, right? So you play it down. So they play down racism, or they say that black men are white supremacy's biggest participants, right? Once again, so you play down racism, you play down classism, you play down all of that because your biggest issue and your number one enemy is black men. So to hell with how racism affects black women, if it affects black women. To hell how classism affects black women, if it affects black women, because you really want to hurt black men. Welcome to black girl boss feminism, right? Or girl boss feminism painted black, right? This is what it looks like. And how that then gets interpreted in the black community is that black women get to speak to black men nastily. They get to be mean. They get to be cold and conniving. They get to be all type of miserable people, and then use this concept of some type of cosmic justice, or no one would say it if it was a black man, as justification to do and say and act the way they want. right? That is what black girl feminism painted black looks like. Or girl boss feminism painted black looks like. By the way, all of this is really making excuses for an unjust system in the first place. White society, white men in particular, got a hold of girl boss feminism and then used it as an excuse to once again do the whole pushing Sheryl Sandberg um, ahead and say, you know what? The real problem is we need to be more tough and we need to be more assertive, and that's our real issue, right? Our real issue is us. It's not anything but us. It's not the messed up corporate structure. It's not any of that. It's not as being marginalized or sidelined or any of that. And now black women are adopting that just so they could defecate on black men, right? It kind of speaks to my previous video, the mammies of empire. Black women feel so slighted, yes, by white men, but primarily by black men, that they want to be used as the mascot. Is this all black women? No, but a significant portion of black women that feel so slighted by this society that they're not the beauty standard, and they can't use Karen like and Miss Ann like powers and Becky like powers, right? That they don't have that type of social power, that these women want to be America's mascot. They're pining for that position. And so the white corporate structure sees that. That's where you get all the interracial commercials. That's where you get propping up black women as like these moral centers of the universe. That's where you get all of that. That's where you get the we have to use this double minority thing of being black and women to push black women into these positions in our corporate structure, right? Is this going to benefit anything more than a relative handful of black women? No. But as I said on the breakdown, once black women in mass are going to be told to live vicariously through the handful of those black women that succeed in this, that get to participate in this, right? Girl boss feminism painted black. Yes, you too, black women, can exploit black people for the betterment of just you, right? While making all the requisite excuses to do so. While claiming you're doing this for the betterment of black women and girls, when it's really for the advancement of you and your pocketbook. Shout out to Paris Milan and Chrissy and Real Talk with Yanni. Yeah. And Cynthia G for that matter. When you hear Mahogany Pink speak, especially on her video about the myth of black love part 2, when you hear her speak on her interview with Lexus Exodus, what do you hear but girl boss feminism painted black? She can barely hold her resentment towards black men. She can barely hold it together. These people will go to the end of the universe, destroying everything, and use the excuse, well, men did it first. Why can't I do it? Why do men get to do this and women can't? Even if the men in their immediate circle aren't those men. Even if the men in their lives aren't those men. Even if the men in their lives encourage them. Because what this really is wanting white, racist, elite man power. You want the social capital of the damsel in distress white woman, but you really, really want that power of the rich, white, elite man. I said rich. My apologies. Wealthy, extravagantly wealthy, elite man, white man. And once again, this system realizes how many black women want that. Don't ever get it misconstrued and think whatever alphabet boys are not reading all through these comments, watching all of these videos, and they don't understand the social unrest in the black community. They see the women pining for this position, right? And for those of you that recently came in, check my description box. I have 2 links in there speaking to this, and I'm kind of freestyling on it also. There's been a lot of talk about girl boss feminism and how it's actually left a lot of women, right, namely white women, because black women are late to the party, right? It left them burnt out because it was hustle culture for black women. For women in general, I'm sorry. For women in general, black women are just getting to it late. It was hustle culture for women. Just work 18 jobs, do this, keep a stiff upper stay stoic, don't complain, work yourself to the bone, beat up on men, use men as an excuse. All right? Work some insane hours. That way you can outcompete women and men. And then what happens at the end of the day? You get here. You end up here with it. Because in the black community, of course, it's going to take a even more negative turn. Once again, if white society has the cold, the black community has the flu. And so when black women interact with girl boss feminism, there's a even more pernicious element to it. It's F black men on top of that. On top of all the toxicity that comes from the movement, it's F black men on top of that. Right? So these women get to use the excuse of men being able to do it too. They get to feign like they had no choice when they engage in some of the worst behaviors, right? I'm gonna read that comment in a minute, Black Roof. Right? They had to feign victim while they're stepping on other people, while they're being mean girls, right? As a matter of fact, in many ways, the movie Mean Girls shows what this girl boss feminism probably looks like in high schools and middle schools all over the country. Right? Stepping on other people, particularly being mean and nasty to men. Because once again, cosmic justice, right? You got to get back at men because of something they did. Even if he didn't do it to you, he did something to some woman. Right? while you're stepping on people in the supposed name of women and girls, while you're crushing people in the supposed name of women and girls, so you could show them that you too can be the mascot or the mammy of empire, right? All in and in the black community in particular, for black women in particular, all for what? The advancement of black girls and women, black girls in luxury, right? Black women in luxury, divestment and swirling movement, right? The soft life. Oh, I wasn't supposed to add that, right? Let me read Black Uru's comment. Black Uru said, "Understand it, hell. The alternative helped to create a perpetual strife." Per- oh, okay, read that wrong. Some alternatives do it for profit. Some do it turn straight people into alternatives. Some do it for fun. Yeah, some do it for fun. I'm gonna read that again. Understand that hell, the alternatives help help to create and perpetuate this strife. Some alternatives do it for profit. Some do it to turn straight people into alternatives. Some do it for fun. Perfect statement. I wish I could highlight it. I don't know how to do that on my phone. But yeah. Yes. Yeah. Right. And the entire corporate structure realizes that. Once again, that's how you get a Sheryl Sandberg. That's how you get what's the name of the young lady that was trying to imitate Steve Jobs and with the blood tech company, right? What's her last name? Holmes, if I'm not mistaken. Because they just, if you want to diversify what the top of the empire looks like, so it doesn't look as stiff and white racist man on top, then you have to bring some women in, right? And if you really want to look like you're being diverse, then you bring black women in and some LGBTQ in, and even some black women that are LGBTQ. That way you really can't be called racist and white supremacist and sexist and homophobic and maybe even transphobic. And so a handful of black women see those particular doors open, and they will get into those corporate structures, make excuses for whatever those people engage in, while those people walk around stepping on other people, right? Say that they're doing this for the betterment of women, black women in particular, black girls, to inspire, right? And maybe if eventually that entire model falls, then they'll be like, well, I didn't have a choice. Some of these people, what's funny is like these people are like college educated. Some of them are tier one, tier two school, Ivy League attending people, but somehow they get into careers where they have no choice but to be a monster. Or they engage in activity that show them for the monsters they are. These people are so smart, but somehow they're engaging in some of the worst ways of moving and thinking and acting and speaking ever. Right? Because when Real Talk with Yanni speaks or when Paris Malone speak, that's all you hear. Girl boss feminism paid in black. And your man better be on the same thing too. So even if you're a stay-at-home mom, and that's the preferred choice, right? He better be a boss to provide you the lifestyle I'm talking about, right? To not look at the structure for what it is, or in Paris Milan's case, to look at the structure for what it is, and in Chrissy's case, to look at the structure for what it is and to decide selfishly that you're going to go for broke and be hyper individualistic while you claim and feign that you're doing this for the betterment of black women and you're speaking like this for the betterment of black women, when in reality, the algorithm showed you where the money was and that's what you're engaging in. Is rage porn. Is girl boss feminism. That is classic girl boss feminism. Doing something for yourself selfishly and then claiming that you're doing this for the betterment of whatever group. Just say, no, I'm just creating this rage porn for y'all because y'all like this. This is where the money is, right? That's what these people are. A bunch of, and it's particularly bad in the black community, right? Shout out to you, better you. Thank you, brother. Z, the hardest working man on YouTube. Thank you. Right? Once again, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat, right? And even if you guys want, after the video, I left the two links in the description box for the, especially for, there was one of the videos, I think it's about 5 or 6 minutes long, and maybe even 4 minutes long, and it captures perfectly girl boss feminism in like I said, like a 5 minute or so clip. And the other one just goes through it, right, in a span of maybe 10 or so minutes, 10, 11 minutes, and it explains what girl boss feminism looks like. And it uses the Devil Wears Prada as the kind of backdrop to explain it. Right? But when you watch these things, think about the black community and black women in particular, and then think about some of these content creators on YouTube and how they speak and what they claim they're advocating for. Right? And think about how these things affect black men and black women, but particularly black men in the black community. A bunch of entitled, especially for black women, level of entitlement is off the Richter scales because they already feel like they're the mothers of society. They feel like they live at the absolute bottom of society, and they feel like they're entitled to white women's and white men's position, quite frankly, in this society. And so when they're stepping on you, particularly you as a black man, they think you're deserving of it because you didn't put them in the position that they should have rightfully been at since birth. And the fact that they have to, air quotes, get up and do it themselves is even more reason to ground you in the dust. And you wonder why that black HR lady isn't necessarily the nicest person in the world. Oops. Right? I noticed some of us that have worked under women before and they're pretty cool. And then there's others that exemplify exactly what I'm describing. Mean, nasty people that when they get caught up, they feign like they didn't know what was going on or they had no choice. But they get off on being mean, nasty people and throwing other people under the bus and being very selfish and individualistic, right? Once again, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. But so I've heard of girl boss feminism for a while. I've done little research, watched different things, read different things, and something happened or something I heard in my personal life, and it just got me to thinking about this, and so I really started to delve into it even more. And yeah, I just was inspired to make this, and I'm late to this, making this video because there's a lot of language about girl boss feminism, right? And just essentially white men putting women in the forefront of a lot of movements, so that it's real difficult to say like this movement is a like white imperialist men taking over some stuff, right? I mean, we've seen this for centuries with the missionaries and the imperialists. Just think of that brought into the 21st century, right? But instead of it just being white women, this time add a couple of black women and some LGBTQ to the mix as the air quotes missionaries trying to bring Christianity, right? This is just white, rich, elite men saying, we ain't you're gonna have to come and get this money, right? But while you're trying to scheme up some way to do it, here's a white woman, a black woman, a trans, LGBTQ people that will tell you and sing the gospel of working yourself to death and, you know, girl boss, and we could do what the men could do. And if you get in my position, then you can do some get backsies, right? For those of you that know about Sheryl Sandberg and the Lean In book and how women ripped her apart, including, if I'm not mistaken, former First Lady Michelle Obama, who slipped up and said that shit don't work. And I think she said shit, right? So for the people engaging in this, the women engaging in this, black women engaging in this, first of all, you're late to the game. White women already said, yeah, that shit don't work. Black women like Michelle Obama, who was accomplished in her own right, already told you that shit don't work. But other black women really want to engage in it so they could step on black men, right? So they could get into some of these corporate positions, some of these positions in the media, some of these positions in politics, so they could be Tiffany Cross or Oprah, right? Or Shonda Rhimes, right? They want it for that. Or Susan Rice. Once again, if the Z spins off the expressway, it wasn't by accident. So that they could tell Snoop Dogg, I got the army, right? So they can bring women onto their shows talking about some DL stuff and how black men are secretly on the DL. So they could wag their finger at black men and tell black men to get in line next to, behind black women, right? Meanwhile, claiming you're doing things for the betterment of the black community, black women in particular, and to inspire young black girls. You too can be in my position as a complete and total a-hole who steps on other people for the advancement of white men and sometimes gets turned around by white men, told to touch my knees or ankles or something. Yeah, that part, right? All these people claiming to be all this type of intelligent and aware and educated. Meanwhile, you the puppet of the same white man you were the puppet of on the plantation. But this time you doing it for the betterment of black girls and women? Being the girl boss, right? And eating, pretty much trying to live what these lame commercials show you on television. Girls and women being up on men, out competing men, outrunning men, outboxing men, out punching men, outworking men, doing traditionally masculine tasks better than the men do. Because women can do it too, and women can do it better while wearing heels, right? Black Guru says, and some brothers slurp that nonsense up like purple drink. Exactly. Some brothers do, right? Charles Irby says, it is hilarious. We are homophobic while on the down low too. You can't make this ish up, bro. You see what I'm saying? Peace is a lie. Low key, true. True. Peace is a lie says, I know exactly what you're talking about. I had a black female boss. It was horrible. Man, people know. I want us to also start operating like people know. That's why when I speak like somebody's listening. Not just you guys, if you know what I mean when I say somebody's listening. And I speak like they already know what's going on in the black community because they already know what's going on in the black community. And as you guys can hear, that don't deter me from saying what I want to say anyway. Right? People know. And when you hear some of the women speak, that's what you hear. In particularly or in particular, Real Talk with Yanni, Mahogany Pink, you hear that weird girl boss feminism crap, right? It like I said, these people are like pining for a particular position they feel entitled to because they feel slighted by this society that once again they're not the beauty standard. They can't move around and act like white women. And then they go back to being the mothers of humanity, right? My secret admirer is back, you guys. But we'll continue. And It's interesting. Speaking about that, black girl or girl boss feminism painted black. To see, as DC said, to see that you're part of a forced classification, right? You're part of the black community, whether you want to be or not. And to think you have the luxury of not caring what other black people do is insane, right? Aren't there stories of Jack Johnson and some of the earlier boxers beating and outboxing white men in the 1920s and the 1930s, and then other black people not being able to leave their house because they knew they would be victims of white vigilantes because a black person outboxed or beat up, you know, that white boxer, right? So to think that you don't have to care what other black people say, do, think, believe, it's insanity. And clearly, the corporate structure and the politicians care. That's why they prop up the particular people they prop up, right? Because they see how desirous of these things these people are. Think about what we got right now between the press secretary, the vice president, and the most recent Supreme Court judge, right? Girl boss feminism painted black, right? Like I said in a previous video, the mammies of empire. It's not critiquing these women for particularly having these positions necessarily. We're taking a step outside of the structure and then looking and seeing why those people are being put there, right? Thank you, Black Uru, right? Black Uru says, Mr. Z has a stalker. Congrats, bro. You too can have a stalker. You just gotta work hard. Let me do my own version of this boss feminism, right? This girl boss feminism. You too can have a stalker. You just gotta put the hours in and just make the videos and make them intriguing and enticing, and then you too can have somebody come into your comment section and spam your comments with a bunch of crap that has nothing to do with nothing, right? Really probably a 12-year-old white boy in the comments with a heart on, and that's really disgusting, right? Or it could be a black woman off her meds. Either way, it's weird. Black who said you have arrived. The promised land. We all got our stalkers. Raj got his stalker. BGS got his stalker. I too have a stalker. Right? So I honestly don't know how you combat this girl boss feminism painted black, because the structure is going to promote these people because it sees how desirous of being chosen these people are, right? It sees that. This system sees that. That's even how you get Goldman Sachs and the $10 billion towards black women, right? That's how you get that. Shout out to PK. What's going on, bro? Shout out to Toya, right? That's how you get that, right? Even some of the language that we use in these spaces lets you know how weird we're sounding. Optimizing, leveling up, right? All of this is like economist type language or like gamer language, right? Human beings referring to themselves this way. The one thing I will give boomers and silent generation is they actually went at the system. Not saying they never went at each other, but they actually went at the system. They did have a notion of camaraderie and community that I don't know if Xers and definitely millennials and Z have. Because we got hit hard with that Iron Rand hyper individuality concept. And then we got hit triple hard with materialism all through the 80s and the 90s. Right? And so everything comes back to, regardless of rhetoric and language, everything comes back to me, me, me. Right? And what that looks like for black women, especially that these women are trying to ascend up a political ladder or a corporate ladder, is stepping on other people, namely black men, while claiming to be for the empowerment of marginalized people, particularly black people, particularly black women, and to inspire black girls. Meanwhile, under your high heel is the skulls of dozens of people, if not hundreds. Right? I mean, you even Tiffany Cross admitted it in front of you guys. That she knows that black men feel a particular way about black women like her in the media. Right? Girl boss feminism. It's just white men just doing eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And I'm not saying whether these women are qualified or not, but it is white men playing eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Which one of you is going to be the double or triple minority that we use to tell the Negroes to get back in line? For the betterment and the empowerment of you, really, but claiming that it's for the betterment and the empowerment of the black community and black women in particular. Girl boss feminism was always a lie. That's why they got all behind Sheryl Sandberg when she wrote that book, right? And that's why so many of these men got taken by the young lady. What's her name? I want to say Amy Holmes so bad. What is her name? With the Blood Tech Company. For any of you guys that remembered, right? Theranos, I think was the name of the company. That's why you can fall for that. You sold a lie and then you fell for your own lie. How many of these companies, these white men fell for her? They actually invested in it, right? Elizabeth Holmes, thank you, Toya. I just tried to mention her name like a few days ago and forgot it, and then yeah, I keep on forgetting her name. Elizabeth Holmes, Elizabeth Holmes. Because there's so much you can extrapolate from her particular situation and case, right? That's why I've used it as an example multiple times. And she did exactly what we said. Her and her ex-boyfriend scheming behind people's back. When she finally get caught, she says he made her do it. Once again, claiming victim, claiming you didn't know, claiming you were under duress, right? And what is girl boss feminism gonna look like when Goldman Sachs money really start pouring into black women? What does girl boss feminism look like in a decade? Like I said, white women already said it's not working for them, right? Michelle Obama already told you that ish don't work, right? But maybe the rest of you didn't hear that. Too busy, defecating on black men every chance you get, right? Don't want to mess up our opportunity to tell black men where to shove it. Being perfectly okay with white society using you, white men in particular. Actually, I said that wrong. Not being perfectly okay, being desirous of white society using you, and particularly white men. But like I said, you're pining for the mascot position, right? And there's only so many of those positions to go around, only so many of those slots to go around. And what comes with that is not only stepping on black men. Oh, you wish it was that easy. Stepping on black women. That's the interesting and fun part. Black women stepping on black women for white society, white men in particular, while claiming they're doing this for the advancement and the betterment of black women. Because you too can be used by the white racist empire to show that it's not racist and it's open. You too can work for this racist company and show that you are the face, the HR lady, or the brand ambassador or the product manager. I did not know that, Black Uru. Black Uru says what cracks me up is that Elizabeth Holmes' father was a vice president of Enron. At Enron. Wow. So she learned how to scheme for real from scheme master himself. From the scheme master himself. With her fake deep voice. I wonder who got a deeper voice, her or Glorilla. Hey, what's the rest of that song, Toya? Scheme, scheme, plot, plot, right? Coming for the number one spot. And that is black girl boss feminism. That's girl boss feminism painted black, right? That's what it is. So these women want to, y'all want to be Elizabeth Holmes, right? Well, it didn't work for her, and she's probably gonna do jail time. Did she get sentenced yet? Right? She's probably gonna have to do jail time. So if it didn't work for the literal blonde, blue-eyed white woman, when y'all finally start really getting those positions at Goldman Sachs, because a couple of y'all already got it. That's how they gave over the $10 billion. What you think they're gonna promote you to so you could be the fall guy, right? Because if the white men ain't playing with the white women, and they definitely, hit Elizabeth Holmes with some stuff, right? What you think they're gonna do to black women when the company falters and you are what, lead attorney, right? What you think that's gonna look like? To be so angry at black men and to be so resentful that you don't even realize how you're being used, or, which is worse, you do realize how you're being used and you like it. You're just hoping against all hope that the whole the whole entire house of cards don't come falling down on you. And for a handful of you it might not, but for most of you it will somehow, right? You better go ask the Native Americans. These people don't sign a contract they're not going to rip up eventually. Go ask the indigenous folks about that, right? This is not going to turn out well. This first, it's not turning out well. I got to keep on coming back to this because I keep on saying it wrong. It's not turning out well. It hasn't turned out well, right? What came after the whole girl boss movement? I don't dream of labor, right? I don't dream of labor came after the girl boss feminism because these people realized that they were they had been lied to. These women realized it. Apparently black women didn't get the memo. Not enough of y'all anyway. You're gonna have to get at black men another way, right? Once again, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat, right? You're gonna have to get at black men another way because that particular tool off of Massa's table may not work. Well, it doesn't work, clearly, right? Give me a second, you guys. Give me a second. Talk amongst yourselves. My bad, you guys. I'm trying to get my life together. Keep talking amongst yourselves. So, how is this supposed to work, people? Hopefully, you guys can hear me. But yeah, how is this supposed to work? Right? Black women being used by white society again in this capacity when it hasn't worked already. Like the people that started and pushed this, it failed for them, right? They fell on their face publicly, spectacularly, actually. But you know, I guess any opportunity to defecate on black men and tell black men how much better you're doing than they are. I guess you can't miss that opportunity, right? So these people will not miss the opportunity to defecate on black men, right? So that's what this is about. That's what this is about. I mean, they're already doing it, right? Bragging about the positions they have over you, telling you how much better they're doing than you, bragging about being more accepted into the empire than you as a black man, because that's something to brag about, right? Because that's definitely. Give me a second, everybody. Talk amongst yourselves again for like 2 minutes. 2 minutes. is how it and for the betterment of who necessarily, because it's not even of them as not in any paper, right? You're just another piece of the empire. I think okay. All of them. There's no way you ascend to heights. No, right? And don't. And then there's some of your favorite rage porn content creators. And rage content creators, whether they know or not, some of them push that girl right ideology, even though it's failed. You can't get around what this system is. Right? You can't scheme your way around this. You can't scheme your way out of this. Maybe you as an individual, well, what these particular people have done, the content creators, as a group, no way. That's what happens when you use community talk, when you're just being you as an individual. Which essentially is what girl boss feminism is. It is a very self-centered, self-interested movement. It's actually be all about you, claiming that you're all about others. Doing this for others. Doing this to others. Right? I mean, this is really about your pocketbook. Again, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. I think I got my life pretty sorted out around here. I think. Looks like it. Maybe. Right? Maybe. All right. Mic check. Oh no. What's going on? Give me a second, you guys. Let's see. Can you guys hear me now? Old Verizon commercial. Can you hear me now? Right? Hopefully. Let me get a comment for anyone that could hear me right now. If anything, I'll revisit this later if you guys can't hear me. Wow, so my mic was bad for like, what, a good 5 minutes? That sucks. I'm sorry, everyone. Yeah, but so what I was saying is, this is, like I keep on reiterating, this is just, the system using black women for what it feel like it can use them for, which is the tokens to show that it's not racist or sexist. Right? And only a handful of black women will benefit from that, while other black women are told to live vicariously through that. Right? But in reality, what these girl boss feminists will do, because like I said earlier, like we've heard before, when white society has the cold, the black community has the flu, what these women will do is use their positions to defecate on black men. As we've seen with Tiffany Cross, she couldn't have been more timely. She couldn't have come at a better time. Between the therapist and Tiffany Cross and the young lady that was trying to embarrass Stephen A. Smith, and I don't even like Stephen A. Smith. All of this kind of coalescing pretty much back to back to back is just proving black men, particularly in the black manosphere, correct. It's proving us right. Right? D. Scott said, "I'm late as F." Black girl tragic. Pretty much. Pretty much. I mean, that's black girl magic is black girl um girl boss feminism for black women. Or yeah, it is. Let me say that again. Black girl magic is girl boss feminism for black women. But I'm particularly talking about, I'm calling it what it is, devoid of the black girl magic stuff, because it was originally white girl stuff. Right? To think you're just making your way out of absolutely no way, nothing. That might be my next major live, is explaining systems, right? And how systems work, and how you can track a person, and like, okay, you got here because, all right, your mom knew this person, or like you got into this special program in elementary school, which allowed you to get into a special program in middle school, which allowed you to get into the special program in high school, and then you had some pretty good teachers and a pretty good counselor, and they couched you into like what careers to go into, and then you used that to get into this university or this college for free or with like little payment, right? And then you use that to get like to be connected, and like you use those connects to get into your career. Maybe we need to like explain to people how this works, because the black girl magic, and you just throw confetti in the air. First of all, how did you get the confetti? And then you just turn the confetti into a house and a beautiful life. It just doesn't work that way. And even if you were an alchemist and it worked for you, it's not going to work for like 99.999% of the population. Right? Black Uru says, but I did everything on my own. Why can't you? Exactly. Exactly. Right? These people are magicians, apparently, obviously, by the Black Girl Magic title. D. Scott. D. Scott killed me with that. Exactly. Exactly, D. Scott. Exactly. Right? Give me a second, you guys. I gotta make sure I close this door correctly before I get a phone call later. Give me 1 second. That's why it's good to check, because I actually did, but I usually don't. But I think I usually don't close the door correctly because I know there's somebody behind me. I guess today that I knew I was the last one out the door, I actually closed it correctly, but I'm so used to not closing it correctly that I went and checked. Right? All right. Let's see. Thanks for being here, Judgezilla. Judgezilla's team deep voice. There's a few brothers in here that cause earthquakes every time they speak. Judgezilla and DC are part of Team Earthquake. I'll just call them Team Earthquake. Right? But this is what it is. And like I said, I want to put this out here so that when we see the fallout from the Goldman Sachs thing, or when the Goldman Sachs flunkies, when we start to see them pop up in the future, in a decade or two, and you see what they got themselves caught up in, we can remember like, oh, wait, where did she went to school where? And she was funded by who? Oh, she had got one. Oh, okay, that explains why she moves the way she moves. That explains why she did the things she did, right? Because just like Black Uru just put us on game about Elizabeth Holmes, that it made even more sense, right? Her actions made even more sense. So in the future, when we see these particular people in these positions, regardless of where they get and we see what they get themselves into, right? We'll know, oh, that was one of the Goldman Sachs girls or women, right? Because I guess we're over fighting for more equitable, situation. I guess now we're just hyper individualistic, and I'm saying now like it's recent, right? But we're just hyper individualistic, and then we're using the parlance of community and group and looking out for other people and trying to inspire other people, when really we're all about ourselves. And even our charity is not really charity, right? And our charity is not even really charity. It's really all about us. Our charity is for taxes, right? Once again, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. I'm gonna end out in a little bit, you guys. Don't want to keep you guys all morning, but thank you for being here with me today, this early morning. The brother said, oh, you started early. Yeah, I did. Train tracks, be warned. And we're done with the train tracks. Yeah, right. I'm gonna go hit up a breakfast spot too. All right. And how, like, I didn't get to read PK's entire comment, but I think he said you got to tear down the whole thing, right? Because this is not gonna work. I guess that's why they call it, and no offense to any of my brothers that live and die by this system. Maybe that's why they call it like late stage capitalism, because it's like pulling everything now. It's like trying to throw anything at the wall, anything that'll stick. And so, like, I guess propping up people that were traditionally marginalized, right, or didn't have that type of power, propping them up now is like the thing to do. That's how you show like you're not, you're not exclusively the all white men's club, right? And what's the point of diversity if the people walking in the door think like you, they just look different? We're like flipping diversity upside down on its head. If the people that's walking in the door that's supposed to be the diversity, air quotes the diversity, if they're aspiring to be you, and they might even be a worse version of you, then what was the point? But then isn't that some of the argument that the conservatives make? Well, it shouldn't be diversity of skin tone, it should be diversity of thought. Meanwhile, you created an entire system where there's really no diversity of thought. At least as you climb up the ladder, the diversity of thought just gets thinner and thinner and thinner. And by the time you get to the top, there is no diversity of thought. It's just a bunch of people that act, think, dress the same as the top dog, but maybe look different, right? Or maybe at most they have sex with someone different. Their sexuality is different at most, right? So that's what girl boss feminism is. Girl boss feminism is a bunch of women that move, think, act like elite, rich white men, and that includes the black women. Because they're not interested in critiquing the system, critiquing anything. They just want to be on top. Forget the injustice. Forget that, right? Forget this soul-crushing system. Forget that. Forget how this could be much better. Forget the fact that America could be borderline utopia if we would just get our act together. Forget all of that. It's all about me and my position and my life and what I think is best for me, and then I'm just gonna sell everybody else on me being here. You could live vicariously through me, and I'm the inspiration, right? That's the game. And we have, I don't know how many, particularly black women, who feel entitled to that position. That's where you get the title, Girl Boss Painted Black. Right? They want that position. And when these things fall apart, they will feign ignorance. They will feign not having a choice. They will feign being the victim of some powerful dude, the same powerful dude that they worshipped. Right? And for a couple of them, they might have actually been his victim knowingly. What do I mean by that? Knowing that he's playing them, just hoping that she plays him first. When you're the HR manager and you know you there to keep the Negroes out, and then eventually they boot you out, then you're going to tell us the whole story. Not too late. Right? If you're Bernie Madoff's secretary and he's paying you $1 million a year and you know he's lying on the books, you don't get to tell us the truth after the fact. Right? And I suspect that's what's going to be going on in a lot of companies and corporations and even in the political sphere with some of this Goldman Sachs money. Right? These women are going to be put in high positions in think tanks around the country to essentially sell the black community out even more. And that includes other black women. Right? Everywhere from McKinsey to name them. What's going on, Detroit? Right? Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Because that's what we are now. Not you when these particular women said, yeah, we're not gonna go to protest for black men, and because black men don't show up for black women, so I refuse to go to a protest for black men, and that's cute. Right? These black women are talking about the soft life and black women in luxury, right? And wanted to be kept women, while also want to be girl boss. How the hell? Oh wait, is soft life a response to an attempt at girl boss and it failed miserably? Right? Like I said, that's where the whole I don't dream of labor comes from, right? Years of girl boss feminism falling on its face, and then we do the whole I don't dream of labor. Why? Because you burnt out. What made you think these people were telling you the truth in the first place? We understand how jobs and corporate structures work. Only one of us could be lead. So everybody's going to put 60 plus hours of work. So we're all going to get that position, that promotion? No. Isn't this just repackaged meritocracy? How often are people in general, women specifically, black women even more specifically, gonna keep on getting hit upside the head with the same lie? So all they gotta do is just repackage it in a different way every 5 to 10 years, and you'll fall for it like it's something new? Or is it that you're hoping against all hope that this time it's something different because you really want to defecate on black men? Right? This reminds me of an episode or a show of Yvette Carnell where Dr. Tommy called in, right? Tone Talks had, or Army Ose Frimpong, the funky academic, one of them knows of Dr. Tommy Curry, and they had Dr. Tommy Curry call in. I want to say it was Tone Talks, but I don't remember which one it was. And in the comments, and Dr. Tommy Curry addressed it, in the comments was a young lady that said something like, and I'm paraphrasing, essentially, she sees black men as a bigger threat than white supremacy, than white, you know. And this was years ago. This is what, 3-4 years ago now? So doesn't that remind you of Cynthia G and what she recently said to Dr. Umar Johnson? Right? So if that's what we're saying, then of course you're going to engage in this girl boss feminism, and you're going to get burned every single time, right? Black women in mass will get burned every single time because, once again, you see black men, your one actual salvation, but you see black men as a bigger threat than the white racists who keep lying to you every single chance they get, who play you every single chance they get, you know? But I guess it's the same mentality that makes people go to the lottery go play the lottery every single time for like $50. Not just $1 or $2 worth of lottery, like $50 worth of lottery. Because you hoping to hit it big like that, right? So you realize that meritocracy is in it, right? But you're going to engage in this girl boss feminism after it's already failed. After it's already failed. Goldman Sachs giving that $10 billion is them trying to prop black women up for all the scheming misdeeds that they've been engaging in literally since their inception. Right? Literally since their inception. And you got in bed with those people so you could live out your girl boss fantasies. I'm particularly talking about the women that were on that panel speaking to the Goldman Sachs exec. You got in bed with Goldman Sachs. And I think 1 or 2 of you actually worked with Goldman Sachs or worked for Goldman Sachs. As time goes on, that whole moral high ground and moral claim and being the moral center of the US, of America, black women themselves are going to destroy that. Black women themselves are going to destroy their whole moral justice claim. Because who they're willing to get in bed with overtly now because they want to be part of the empire, because they want to be girl bosses. Because they want to be the mascot of the empire. Right? While the other side is feigning damsel in distress with this fake soft girl crap. So on the left side and the right side, y'all just looking foolish. And hoping to catch a lick, hoping to catch a dummy. Whether that's a white man, a black man, a Latino man, an Asian man, maybe even not a man, maybe another woman. Right? Working for corporate structures that corporations are not above board. Actually, the question is which one of them is, but that's a different conversation. Right? All of this because you feel slighted by this society. Instead of fighting it, now you just want to get to the highest heights. You want to be the biggest cog in the wheel. Right? D. Scott said, we need you and we love you. Right? But okay, so to the brother Mark Holt, he says, how can a woman king live a soft life? Well, that's Hollywood doing girl boss black, right? That's what you're gonna get from, once again, obviously the woman king, but that's what you're gonna get from the Black Panther movie, right? You're gonna get girl boss feminism painted as black girl empowerment, black woman empowerment, right? Because think about what happened with the Woman King. And no, I haven't gone and seen it. And no, I'm not going to see it. You tried to paint a charitable face, a kind face on a kingdom that was built off of that was built off of slavery. That fought to keep slavery. And you put black women's faces out there to soften it, right? To soften it. Like I said, it's the empire and the missionaries all over again. Send the missionaries out so they could tell everybody about the greatness of Christianity, while we use Christianity on this side with our swords and our muskets and our guns, right? To take over the planet. Our cannons, our guns, our swords, our ships. So now the new missionaries are marginalized people, particularly women, particularly black women, right? It's something I said to some of our conservative brothers when we were having a debate once. I was like, 94% of black women voted Democrat. I'm not getting into the left-right thing. I'm just using this as an example. 94% of black women voted Democrat. That's why the right is using Candace Owens. Right? Can't claim they're racist. Look, one of our most prominent faces is Candace Owens. Kim Klacik. Right? Can't claim we racist. Now, if we go off of the narrative of the country, and black women are the moral center of the country, and 94% of the moral center of the country don't vote for you, ugh, ain't looking good. It's the same concept. If our board is how many percent white men, right? Maybe one or two white women, and we're living through the time of diversity, how do we come out not seeming as these racist, sexist people that we are? Right? How do we show we're not? Haha, black women. And we know they want this position too. Right? We know they want this position. Detroit said another reparations. Right? So I'm coming to a close, you guys. You know, like I said, I really wanted to put this out today. It's been covered by a lot of people. They did, quite frankly, a better job than I did covering it, going into details. But it was something I really wanted to speak to y'all about because I don't see this turning out well. It already hasn't turned out well, right? But I see black women still trying to engage in this black girl feminism, or this, excuse me, let me say it the right way. Girl boss feminism painted black, right? And I want black men to be careful that you're not one of the skulls that she steps on to get into those positions that they want. These women are not necessarily the same soft girl women. Sometimes it overlaps, but these are the women that's working with you in your spaces of work, and they really want some of those top positions, especially at a firm or anywhere where they're sitting in a cubicle and they're willing to step on anybody to get that position. Even other black women. Right? And there's a level of entitlement that comes with that. That they will step on you and be with no contrition, right? No remorse. That's why I thought it was important to cover this today, because to emphasize, first of all, this is what they're on. Secondly, it's not going to work for the majority. Third, they'll find an excuse, right? After stepping on you. So these are not necessarily the same people as the soft girl women. Not necessarily, but yes, there is some overlap. And we see some of those girl boss feminists online. We see some of the black ones online. Right? And like I said before, this was just another scheme. It might have started off as something else, but once Once the corporations get a hold of it and the politicians get a hold of it, you gotta know where this is gonna lead. They throw money behind these things. They fill you up with a bunch of BS commercials, some movies, some television shows. Girl power, right? How many of these people were funding Me Too and then you found out, yeah, he was a bit grabby at the job? These people keep on doing the same thing to y'all like over and over and over again. A bunch of these dudes were wagging their fingers at the first guys to get caught up in Me Too. And then you find out they're touchy and grabby at the job too. And it was like legit stories. Like not making it, like legit stories. Dudes got whole automatic buttons on their doors to close the doors behind the women in the office. Super pervs. Right? But those are the men you want to emulate. You want to be a girl version, a woman version of him. And everyone knows it. Right? Detroit, I'm waiting for you to rephrase it. I'm about to close out. Type faster. I'm messing with you. What's going on, Terrell Tassetti? Spain man, my main man came in. Indigo's in. Right? Is there a way to ascend up the corporate ladder without being a complete a-hole? Yes. Are you going to have to be an a-hole sometimes? Yes. Right? Without question. But we're particularly talking about people that get off on this and then still feign ignorance or damsel in distress when they get caught up. Right? Claim there was no other way when they get caught up. Or when you know you work for a horrible corporation or a horrible company or the wrong politician, but you still do their bidding until it falls apart. Like I said, you work for Bernie Madoff. You know what's going on. You take that check because it's a fat check. But when everything falls apart, now you don't know what. Oh my God, I didn't know. Right? So the question then is, what does girl boss feminism look like when it's painted black? How do black women move different than white women when they want these positions? How do they treat other black people, namely black men? All right. I think Tiffany Cross has an answer for us. Right? I think the wannabe governor of Georgia has an answer for us. I think the young lady that went at Stephen A. Smith and got her head taken off has an answer for us. And I'll pause right there. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day, right? Thank you for being here with me this morning. Taraka, you came in way too late. You got to catch the replay, right? And y'all go ahead, definitely check out the links in the description, and drop a comment in my video after the fact and let me know what y'all think about it. And hopefully I addressed it. If y'all want me to do a part 2 of this, I will, if I get enough comments in the comment section asking me to do a part 2 and go into a little bit more detail. But yeah, I think I covered everything here today, but if not, y'all let me know. All right, everyone. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day. Mr. Z out. I'll pause right there. That's for Toya. All right, y'all. Later.